Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Ryan Mitchell, shift manager at Fresh Market Elite, stood with his arms crossed, blocking Marcus Reed from the seafood counter. Marcus looked down at the package in his hand. Salmon. Discount sticker half peeled. Expiration date, 3 days ago. I asked for fresh fish, Marcus said calmly. This is expired. That's the fish we have available for you. Ryan's smile didn't reach his eyes. Take it or leave. Around them, other customers watched. A woman in yoga attire held fresh halibut no discount sticker, vibrant color, clearly from today's delivery. A man in a business suit selected sea bass from the same premium display Marcus had been steered away from. Emily Carter, the clerk who'd served him, chimed in with manufactured sweetness. We're just trying to help you find something in your price range. Marcus hadn't mentioned price, hadn't asked for discounts. Just walked up in worn sneakers and a faded jacket and been immediately categorized. I'd like to speak with your manager, Marcus said. Ryan's expression hardened. I am the manager, and I'm telling you people like you need to understand that this is a premium establishment. If you can't afford our regular selection, there are other stores. People like you. The words hung in the air like smoke. Marcus pulled out his phone, started photographing the expired fish, the date stamps, the discount stickers covering sell-by information. Put that away, Ryan snapped. You're making customers uncomfortable. The question isn't whether Marcus will be thrown out of this grocery store. The question is, why does a man being publicly dismissed stay so unnervingly calm like he's been waiting for exactly this moment? 6 hours earlier, Marcus Reed sat in a conference room at Fresh Market Elite's regional headquarters, reviewing quarterly performance reports. As Regional Vice President of Operations, Marcus oversaw 43 locations across 3 states. Revenue metrics, inventory turnover, customer satisfaction scores, food safety compliance. Most stores performed consistently. But one location, the Riverside Drive store where he now stood, had been flagged for months. Customer complaints had tripled in the past year. Satisfaction scores dropped from 4.2 stars to 2.8. Online reviews told a troubling story. Staff followed me around like I was going to steal something. Was steered toward clearance items despite asking for fresh produce. Felt unwelcome from the moment I walked in. The pattern was clear, and it was always the same demographic reporting these experiences. Marcus had requested internal investigations, sent corporate trainers, mandated bias workshops, but the complaints continued. Management at the Riverside store insisted everything was fine. Just a few difficult customers, they'd reported. Nothing systemic. So Marcus did what he always did when official channels failed. He went to see for himself. No advance notice, no corporate entourage, no expensive suit that announced executive on site. Just worn sneakers, a faded jacket, and a personal shopping trip to buy ingredients for dinner. His wife, Angela, had raised an eyebrow when he'd explained the plan that morning. You're really going undercover to buy salmon? I'm going to experience what our customers experience, Marcus had corrected. There's a difference between reading complaint reports and living them. And if they recognize you, they won't. I've never visited this location, and my photo isn't posted in stores. To them, I'm just another customer. Angela had kissed him on the cheek. Be safe. And don't forget the salmon actually needs to be fresh. I'm making it for the Johnsons tomorrow. Marcus had built his career on a simple philosophy. You can't fix what you don't see. Corporate reports sanitized reality. Managers protected their teams. Regional directors relied on data that was often manipulated or incomplete. But customers? Customers told the truth. If the Riverside store was treating certain customers differently, Marcus needed to know exactly how and why. Not through surveys or focus groups, but through direct experience. He'd conducted similar evaluations before at restaurants, hotels, retail stores across the company's portfolio. Sometimes he found nothing wrong. Sometimes he found issues that were easily corrected. and sometimes he found exactly what the Riverside store was about to reveal. Systematic bias so ingrained that staff didn't even realize they were doing it. Marcus checked his watch as he'd entered the store. 2:47 p.m. By 2:52 p.m., he had his answer. The question now was, what would he do about it? Marcus's grandfather, Samuel Reed, had owned a small grocery store in Birmingham, Alabama, in the 1960s. It wasn't fancy, just a neighborhood market where people could buy fresh food at fair prices. But Samuel had one unbreakable rule. Every customer gets treated the same. I don't care if they're wearing a suit or overalls. Fresh food, fair price, respect. Marcus was 8 years old when he'd watched his grandfather refuse to sell spoiled meat to a customer, even though the customer was willing to buy it at a discount. "Why didn't you sell it?" young Marcus had asked. "He wanted it." Samuel had knelt down to Marcus's eye level. Because wanting something and deserving something aren't the same. That man deserved fresh food, even if he couldn't afford to pay full price. Selling him spoiled meat because he's poor? That's not business, that's contempt. The lesson stayed with Marcus through business school, through his early career in retail management, through every promotion and corporate position he'd held. Dignity wasn't negotiable. Standards weren't flexible based on who was shopping. When Marcus joined Fresh Market Elite 15 years ago, he'd been drawn to the company's stated values. Premium quality for every customer, no exceptions. But he'd learned quickly that stated values and lived values were often very different things. Some locations lived up to the promise. Others used premium as code for exclusive, a way to make certain customers feel unwelcome without explicitly saying so. Marcus had spent his career trying to close that gap, not through memos or policies, but through systematic accountability. He never announced his visits, never pulled rank unless absolutely necessary, because the moment staff knew an executive was watching, behavior changed. They performed the values instead of living them. The only way to see the truth was to experience it as a regular customer would. Standing in the Riverside store with expired fish in his hand, Marcus thought about his grandfather's words. That's not business. That's contempt. Emily and Ryan weren't just offering him old fish. They were operating from a belief system that said certain customers deserved less. That premium quality was reserved for people who looked a certain way. And they'd gotten away with it for so long that they didn't even bother hiding it anymore. Marcus could reveal his identity right now. Flash his corporate ID, watch them scramble to apologize and offer explanations. But that would only change their behavior in this moment. It wouldn't change the system that allowed this to happen in the first place. Sometimes the most powerful thing you could do was let people reveal exactly who they were, then hold them accountable for it. Marcus had exactly 90 minutes before everything changed. At 4:15 p.m., he had a scheduled video conference with Fresh Market Elite's CEO and board of directors. The quarterly operations review. Mandatory attendance for all regional VPs. If Marcus wasn't on that call, questions would be asked. His assistant would try to reach him. Someone would eventually track his location through his corporate phone. The Riverside store's management would discover who he was before he'd finished his evaluation. But there was a bigger problem than just missing a meeting. Marcus had spent 3 months building a case for systematic reform across underperforming locations. He'd compiled data, documented patterns, prepared recommendations for board approval. The Riverside store was his strongest example, the location with the most complaints, the worst scores, the clearest evidence that something was deeply wrong. But data alone wasn't enough to convince the board. Corporate leaders loved metrics, but they were skeptical of subjective complaints. Difficult customers. Isolated incidents. Cultural misunderstandings. Marcus had heard every excuse that protected bad management. What he needed was undeniable first-person evidence, the kind of documentation that couldn't be explained away or dismissed as statistical anomaly. That's why he was here. That's why he deliberately dressed down and walked in as a regular customer. But his plan had always been subtle observation, watching how staff interacted with different customers, documenting small biases, building a pattern over time. He hadn't expected them to be this blatant. Expired fish pushed on him within minutes, condescending remarks, open hostility when he asked questions. This wasn't subtle bias. This was overt discrimination, performed with such confidence that they clearly believed there would be no consequences. Marcus checked his phone. 2:54 p.m. 81 minutes until his call. If he left now, he'd have time to change, prepare his presentation, join the meeting as planned. But he'd only have documented this one interaction. Strong evidence, yes, but Ryan and Emily could claim it was a misunderstanding. We were trying to help him save money. Yeah, he was being difficult. Marcus needed more. Needed to see how far they'd escalate. Needed witnesses. Needed irrefutable proof that this behavior was systematic, not accidental. But every minute he stayed increased the risk of being discovered before the confrontation reached its natural conclusion. His phone buzzed. Text from his assistant. Reminder, board call at 4:15. Need anything prepared? Marcus typed back. I'm good. See you on the call. He hoped that was true. Because if this evaluation went wrong, if he revealed himself too early, if the evidence wasn't strong enough, if the board decided he'd overstepped by conducting an undercover assessment, he'd lose credibility for every reform he was trying to implement. 3 months of work. 43 stores waiting for change. Hundreds of customers who deserved better. All of it balanced against 80 minutes and one interaction at a seafood counter. Marcus put his phone away and looked at Ryan. I'd still like to buy fresh salmon, he said calmly. The kind you're selling to other customers. Ryan's expression hardened. Time to see exactly how far this would go. The fresh salmon is reserved for pre-orders, Ryan said, without even glancing at the display case where 3 other customers had just selected from the same inventory. Marcus looked at the seafood counter. 6 pieces of fresh Atlantic salmon sat on ice, clearly available. Price tags showed they were part of regular stock, not special orders. I don't see any reservation signs, Marcus observed. It's store policy, Emily added quickly, stepping beside Ryan. High-demand items require advance notice. Marcus watched a woman in designer activewear approach the counter. Emily's demeanor transformed, instantly warm smile, attentive posture. Good afternoon. How can I help you today? I'll take 2 of those salmon fillets, the woman said, pointing to the exact display Marcus had been told was reserved. Absolutely. Let me get you the best pieces. Emily carefully selected 2 thick cuts, wrapped them with exaggerated care, and handed them over with a smile. Anything else I can get for you? No mention of reservations, no policy enforcement. The woman walked away with her purchase. Marcus turned back to Ryan and Emily. I'd like 2 salmon fillets, just like she got. Ryan's jaw tightened. Sir, I've already explained. Your policy? Marcus kept his voice level. The one that didn't apply to her? Emily's fake smile flickered. We know our regular customers. We understand their needs. And you don't know mine? Frankly, no. Ryan crossed his arms. You walked in here, immediately went for the most expensive items, and now you're arguing about policies. That tells me everything I need to know. Marcus pulled out his phone again and opened the Notes app. He began typing. Date, time, names from their badges, specific quotes. What are you doing? Emily asked, voice rising slightly. Documenting my experience. You can't do that, Ryan said sharply. Actually, I can. This is a public business. I'm a customer. I have every right to document how I'm being treated. Ryan moved closer, lowering his voice to a threatening register. Listen, I don't know what your angle is, but you need to stop causing problems. Buy the discounted fish or leave. Those are your options. Marcus noticed something interesting. Neither of them had asked why he was documenting. Neither had offered to correct the situation or get a manager. They'd gone straight to intimidation. That wasn't the behavior of employees who'd made an innocent mistake. That was the behavior of people who'd done this before and gotten away with it. A teenage girl near the organic produce section had her phone raised, pointed in their direction. Marcus caught her eye briefly. She was recording. Good. The more witnesses, the better. Marcus looked back at the expired salmon in his hand, then at the fresh display behind Ryan. I'm a customer asking to purchase fresh fish that's clearly in stock and available to other customers. That's not causing problems. That's shopping. That's your interpretation, Ryan said coldly. Mine is that you're being difficult, and we reserve the right to refuse service to difficult customers. Emily nodded. Maybe you'd be more comfortable at a different store. There's a discount grocer 3 blocks east. Might be more your style. More your style. The subtext wasn't even subtle anymore. Marcus kept typing. Before Ryan could continue, an elderly Hispanic woman approached the seafood counter, walking slowly with a cane. She spoke with a thick accent. Excuse me, I need help finding cod. My grandson, he is sick. I need to make him soup. Emily barely looked at her. Seafood section is right here. You can see what we have. I cannot see so good, the woman said, gesturing to the display case. Can you help me find fresh cod? Emily sighed audibly. We're busy right now. The woman looked confused. But I need help. Please, for my grandson. Ryan stepped in. Ma'am, if you can't see the fish, maybe you should bring someone with you to shop. We can't do your shopping for you. The woman's face fell. I just need help choosing. The cod is in the case, Ryan said firmly. Right there. If you want it, point to which one. Marcus watched the interaction with growing discomfort. The woman was clearly struggling. A simple act of customer service helping her select fresh fish was being denied while Emily and Ryan maintained their territorial stance at the counter. Other customers walked past, saw what was happening, kept moving. Nobody intervened. Marcus could step in. He was already in a confrontation with these two. What was one more? But doing so would escalate an already volatile situation. Would mark him even more clearly as a problem customer. Would give Ryan more ammunition to justify removing him from the store. Marcus had come here to document discrimination against himself. To experience firsthand what complaint reports described. Getting involved in someone else's situation would complicate his evidence. Make it easier for management to claim he was the instigator. The strategic move was to stay focused on his own interaction. Document his own experience. Let this play out separately. But watching the elderly woman's hands shake as she tried to peer into the display case, watching Emily and Ryan's complete indifference to her struggle, Marcus felt his grandfather's voice again. Every customer gets treated the same. This wasn't about strategy anymore. This was about whether he could stand here and watch someone be dismissed simply because helping them was inconvenient. Marcus put his phone in his pocket and walked over to the woman. Ma'am, he said gently, I'd be happy to help you choose the freshest cod. May I? The woman's face brightened with relief. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Ryan's voice cut through. Sir, I told you to leave the seafood counter. I'm helping a customer who asked for assistance, Marcus said calmly without looking at Ryan. That's all. He turned to the woman. What does fresh cod look like? Let me describe what I see, and you tell me which sounds best. Marcus had just made himself a bigger target. He could see it in Ryan's face, the shift from irritation to genuine anger. This wasn't just a difficult customer anymore. This was someone actively undermining his authority in front of other shoppers. The smart play would have been to walk away, let the elderly woman struggle, document his own interaction, and leave with clean evidence. Instead, he'd just inserted himself into another conflict, given Ryan multiple reasons to escalate, and complicated the narrative he'd come here to build. But as Marcus looked at the woman's grateful expression while he described the cod options, he couldn't bring himself to regret the decision. "This piece here looks very fresh," Marcus said, pointing to a thick fillet. "Clear eyes, firm texture, no discoloration. Delivered this morning based on the tag." The woman nodded. "Yes, that one. Perfect for soup. How much?" Emily, forced to serve them now, weighed the cod with obvious reluctance. $18.40. The woman opened her worn purse and carefully counted out bills, mostly ones. Some loose change. Marcus noticed Ryan watching the transaction with a look of contempt. 18, 19, 20. The woman counted slowly. 1840, Emily repeated impatiently. Yes, yes. The woman dug through her coin purse. I have it. Ryan muttered under his breath, not quite loud enough for the woman to hear clearly, but loud enough that Marcus caught it. This is exactly why... He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Every instinct told him to call out that comment, to demand Ryan finish his sentence, to force him to say explicitly what he'd only implied. But doing so would shift focus from what these employees were doing to how Marcus was reacting. The woman completed her payment, received her fish, and thanked Marcus profusely before shuffling away with her purchase. The moment she left, Ryan turned to Marcus with undisguised hostility. You just cost us a premium customer, he said, gesturing to a well-dressed man who'd been waiting and had now walked away from the seafood counter. That gentleman wanted to order a party platter, but you were too busy playing hero to some... He stopped himself, but the pause said everything. Marcus kept his expression neutral. I was helping a customer who needed assistance. Isn't that what staff is supposed to do? Staff assists customers who shop here appropriately, Ryan said. Not people who waste our time counting pennies for a single piece of fish. There it was. The explicit statement of what had been implied all along. Some customers were worth serving, others weren't, and the criteria had nothing to do with what they purchased. Marcus pulled his phone back out. Ryan's face flushed. I told you to put that away. And I'm choosing not to, Marcus said calmly. This is a public business. I'm documenting a pattern of discriminatory service. That's my right. You want to talk about rights? Ryan stepped closer. I have the right to protect my staff and customers from harassment, and that's exactly what you're doing. Marcus made a decision that would either validate 3 months of work or destroy his credibility completely. I'd like to speak with the store director, he said clearly, voice carrying across the seafood section. Ryan's smile turned cold. I am the highest-ranking manager on duty, and I'm telling you to leave. Then I'd like corporate contact information. I'm filing a formal complaint. Feel free. Ryan pulled out a business card from his shirt pocket and tossed it on the counter. Corporate complaint line. They'll route your call to me for investigation. I'll be sure to give it my full attention. The system protecting itself. Complaints directed back to the same people being complained about. Marcus picked up the card. Fresh Market Elite Corporate Headquarters. The number went to a general customer service line that would indeed route complaints to regional management, which meant they'd land on Marcus's own desk. Under normal circumstances, that irony would have been amusing. I'm also filing a health department complaint, Marcus said. You attempted to sell me expired seafood. That's a violation of food safety regulations. Emily's confidence cracked slightly. That fish was properly labeled and discounted. 3 days past its sell-by date, Marcus interrupted. Labeled with a discount sticker covering the expiration information. That's deceptive practice and a health code violation. He took photos of the expired salmon still sitting on the counter. Close-ups of the dates. The discount sticker placement. Ryan's face flushed red. You need to leave, right now. I'm a customer attempting to make a purchase and file a legitimate complaint. You're a troublemaker who came in here looking for a confrontation. Ryan pulled out his phone. I'm calling security. If you're not gone in 2 minutes, I'm having you arrested for trespassing. Marcus didn't move. I haven't trespassed. I'm a customer in a public business. Not anymore, you're not. Ryan dialed. Yeah, this is Ryan Mitchell at Fresh Market Elite Riverside. I need security for an aggressive customer refusing to leave. Male, 40s, causing a disturbance. Yes, I want him removed immediately. He hung up and looked at Marcus with satisfaction. Security will be here in 5 minutes. Your choice: leave now or leave in handcuffs. Marcus stayed exactly where he was. I'm not going anywhere until I speak with someone who can address these violations properly. Ryan's smile widened. Then I guess you're getting arrested. Around them, shoppers had stopped to watch. Phones were out. The teenage girl Marcus had noticed earlier was definitely recording. Perfect. Let them see exactly how this store handled legitimate complaints. Word spread through the store like wildfire. Within 90 seconds, a small crowd had gathered near the seafood section, some pretending to shop, others openly watching. The teenage girl with the phone her name tag read Lily had positioned herself with a clear view of the confrontation. Her screen showed a live stream counter climbing rapidly: 847 viewers, 1,203, 1,891. Comments flooded in. This is disgusting. They're treating him like a criminal for asking for fresh fish. Someone record this entire thing. Emily noticed the phones and tried damage control. Everyone, please continue shopping. This situation is under control. But the crowd didn't disperse. If anything, more people drifted over. A middle-aged black woman approached Marcus quietly. I saw what they did. Offered you old fish while selling fresh to everyone else. I can be a witness if you need one. Before Marcus could respond, Ryan intercepted. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Please return to your shopping. I'm a customer, the woman said firmly. I'm concerned about food safety and how this store treats people. Ryan's expression darkened. If you continue interfering, I'll have you removed as well. The woman pulled out her phone and started recording too. Ryan looked around at the growing audience. Phones raised, live streams running. For the first time, uncertainty crossed his face. This was supposed to be simple. Difficult customer. Security removes him. End of problem. Instead, it was becoming a public incident. Marcus remained calm, hands visible, posture non-threatening. He wasn't giving them any excuse to claim he was aggressive or dangerous, just a man standing his ground. Politely, legally, refusing to accept being dismissed. In the distance, Marcus heard the store's automatic doors open. Heavy footsteps approaching. Security had arrived. Ryan's confidence returned. Finally, now we'll see how brave you are. Marcus checked his phone. 3:11 p.m. 64 minutes until his board call. This was about to get very interesting. 2 security guards approached both large men in black uniforms with Riverside security patches. Ryan immediately launched into his narrative, voice loud enough for the gathered crowd to hear. Thank you for coming. This individual has been harassing my staff, refusing to follow store policies, interfering with other customers, and creating a hostile environment. I've asked him to leave multiple times. He's refused. The lead guard name tag reading Stevens looked at Marcus. Sir, is this accurate? No, Marcus said calmly. I'm a customer who asked to purchase fresh fish. I was offered expired seafood instead. When I documented food safety violations and requested to speak with management, I was threatened with arrest. Ryan scoffed loudly. That's a complete fabrication. We offered him appropriately discounted merchandise, which he refused. Then he started taking pictures, harassing staff, and inserting himself into other customers' transactions. Emily jumped in, playing her role perfectly. He made one of our elderly customers very uncomfortable. She was just trying to shop peacefully, and he pushed his way into her purchase. The woman who'd offered to be a witness spoke up. That's not true. I saw him help her when your staff refused. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step back, Stevens said firmly. This doesn't involve you. Ryan seized the moment. See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. He's turned a simple situation into a circus, making accusations, rallying people against my staff. This is targeted harassment. He turned to the growing crowd performing for them now. Fresh Market Elite serves all customers equally. We have policies to ensure fairness and safety. When someone comes in here looking to cause trouble, making false accusations, trying to damage our reputation, yes, we're going to ask them to leave. Several shoppers nodded. The narrative was working difficult customer causing problems for hard-working staff. Stevens looked at Marcus. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. If you refuse, you'll be charged with trespassing. I'm a paying customer. You're a disruptive individual who's been asked to leave by management, Stevens corrected. That's their legal right. Come with me now or I'm calling the police. Marcus looked around at the crowd, some sympathetic, some uncertain, some clearly agreeing with Ryan's version. Lily's live stream counter had hit 3,247 viewers. Comments were split. He's being railroaded. Nah, he's clearly causing problems. Why not just leave and shop somewhere else? Ryan crossed his arms, vindicated. Your choice, sir. Walk out with dignity or get escorted out by police. Either way, you're leaving. Marcus pulled out his phone one more time. Ryan's voice rose. Put that away or I'm adding recording without consent to the complaint. Actually, Marcus said quietly, I think it's time we had a different conversation. He opened his phone contacts and made a call. This is Marcus Reed, Regional VP. I need you to conference in the CEO immediately. We have a situation at the Riverside location that requires immediate corporate intervention. Ryan laughed. Actually laughed. Regional VP? That's your play? Pretending to be corporate? Emily joined in. Oh, this is rich. You're going to impersonate a company executive? That's fraud. Stevens, I think we need police here after all. Marcus kept his phone to his ear, but the call had gone to voicemail. His assistant was probably preparing materials for the 4:15 board meeting, not expecting her boss to call from a grocery store confrontation. He hung up and tried another number. His boss, Jennifer Martinez, Senior VP of Operations. Ryan was still performing for the crowd. Everyone, this man is now claiming to be a Fresh Market Elite executive. This is beyond disruptive behavior. This is criminal impersonation. Stevens looked uncertain. Sir, do you have identification proving you work for this company? Marcus did. His corporate ID was in his wallet, but pulling it out now would prove his identity, which meant revealing himself before the situation had fully played out. He'd wanted to document the complete pattern, wanted to see how far they'd escalate. Wanted undeniable evidence that this wasn't just a misunderstanding, but the call wasn't connecting. Marcus checked the time, 3:14 p.m., 61 minutes until the board call. If he didn't establish his identity soon, this situation would spiral into actual arrest. And while he could prove who he was eventually, the narrative would be damaged. Executive creates scene, gets arrested, claims discrimination to cover embarrassment. Ryan pulled out his own phone. I'm calling the store director. She'll confirm that this man is lying about his identity and needs to be removed immediately. He dialed, put it on speaker. Carol, this is Ryan at Riverside. We have a situation. A disruptive customer is claiming to be Marcus Reed, Regional VP, and threatening to have staff fired. Obviously fraudulent. Can you confirm we've never had a visit from Regional VP Reed? A woman's voice came through the speaker. Marcus Reed? No, he's never visited this location. I'd know if regional management was coming. Is this person there now? Yes, surrounded by customers, making a scene. Have security remove him. If he resists, call police. I want a full incident report. This sounds like someone trying to set us up for a lawsuit. Ryan looked triumphant. You heard the store director. You're not who you claim to be. Stevens, get him out of here. The security guard reached for Marcus's arm. Marcus's phone finally rang. Jennifer Martinez calling back. He answered on speaker before Stevens could physically remove him. "Marcus, what's wrong? Your assistant said you called urgently." Ryan interrupted loudly. "This is Ryan Mitchell, shift manager at Riverside location. This individual is impersonating Marcus Reed and causing a major disturbance." Jennifer's voice turned ice cold. "Who the hell is this? Where's Marcus?" "I'm right here, Jennifer," Marcus said calmly. "I'm conducting an unannounced evaluation at Riverside. It's not going well." Silence on the other end. Then, "Ryan Mitchell, did you say? The shift manager?" "Yes, ma'am. You just tried to have your regional VP arrested. Stand by. I'm conferencing in the CEO." The color drained from Ryan's face, but he recovered quickly, shifting tactics. "Ma'am, if that's really you, then you need to know that this person arrived at our store, refused to follow policies, harassed staff and customers." "Ryan, stop talking," Jennifer's voice cut through. "Marcus, are you safe?" "I'm fine. Being threatened with arrest for trespassing, but fine." Emily grabbed Ryan's arm, whispering urgently. But Ryan shook his head, clearly not ready to concede. Around them, the crowd had gone completely silent. Lily's live stream counter had hit 5,891 viewers. Comments were exploding. "Wait, he's actually the VP? This manager is so fired. Oh, this is about to get good." Several staff members had gathered at the edges of the crowd. Marcus noticed their expressions, some shocked, some carefully neutral, some quietly satisfied. A young clerk named David. His name tag, partially visible, caught Marcus's eye and quickly looked away. But not before Marcus saw the recognition there. David knew, had probably known the entire time what Ryan and Emily were doing. Marcus thought about all the complaint reports he'd reviewed. Anonymous submissions, employees describing discriminatory behavior but refusing to be named as sources. "I've seen management treat customers differently based on appearance. I've been told to steer certain customers toward clearance items. When I objected, I was told I didn't understand our clientele." Those reports had come from somewhere, from staff who saw what was happening but couldn't speak openly without risking their jobs. Another employee, an older woman named Patricia, stood near the deli counter. She'd worked for Fresh Market Elite for 12 years, according to her service pin. She watched the confrontation with an expression Marcus recognized, relief mixed with fear. Relief that someone was finally confronting Ryan's behavior. Fear about what would happen to employees who'd stayed silent. Marcus understood that fear, knew that speaking up in retail meant reduced hours, bad schedules, manufactured reasons for termination. Knew that the system protected managers like Ryan because they delivered results, even if those results came through cutting corners and treating customers like problems to be managed. The woman who'd offered to be a witness earlier stepped forward again. "Excuse me, but since we're apparently having a moment of truth here, I'm a regular customer. I've shopped at this location for 3 years, and I've watched Ryan and Emily treat people differently based on skin color for at least a year." Ryan turned on her. "That's a false accusation." "I have receipts," the woman continued. "Literally, time-stamped purchases showing how long transactions take. Mine average 6 minutes longer than white customers buying similar items. I've documented it because I knew someday it would matter." She pulled out her phone, showing a spreadsheet. Emily's confidence crumbled. We've never... This is a misunderstanding." "Ma'am," Jennifer's voice came through the speaker, "can you send that documentation to the email I'm about to give you?" "Absolutely." Ryan looked around wildly, searching for support, finding none. Because everyone who'd been silent finally saw that silence wasn't required anymore. Marcus checked his watch. 3:22 p.m. 53 minutes until the board call. The call where he was supposed to present his quarterly report, his reform proposals, his case for systematic change. He'd planned to use the Riverside store as his primary example, show the data, explain the complaint patterns, request authorization for comprehensive intervention. Now he was standing in the middle of that example, with his identity revealed prematurely, a live stream broadcasting to thousands, and a confrontation that could either validate everything he'd been arguing for or undermine his credibility completely. If this went wrong, if he couldn't prove the discrimination he'd experienced, if Ryan and Emily successfully painted him as the aggressor, if the board saw this as an executive overstepping bounds, 3 months of work would collapse. Worse, the other 42 locations waiting for reform would remain unchanged. The patterns he'd documented would continue. The customers being systematically mistreated would have no recourse. Everything balanced on the next 30 minutes. Jennifer's voice came through the phone. "Marcus, I have CEO David Chen conferencing in. Can you give us a 60-second summary?" Marcus took a breath. "I conducted an unannounced customer experience evaluation at the Riverside location. Within 5 minutes, I was offered expired seafood while fresh inventory was sold to other customers. When I questioned this, I was threatened, dismissed, and ultimately told to leave or face arrest. The discrimination was overt, witnessed by multiple customers, and is currently being live-streamed." David Chen's voice joined. "Ryan Mitchell, are you there?" "Yes, sir," Ryan said, voice shaking now. "But this is all a misunderstanding. We were following standard protocols." "Standard protocols include selling expired fish?" David's tone was sharp. "It was properly discounted and labeled." "Marcus, you have photos?" "Multiple. Seafood 3 days past sell-by date with discount stickers covering expiration information. Health code violation." A pause. Then, "Emily Carter, correct? The seafood clerk?" Yes, sir," Emily stammered. "Did you offer this expired fish to Mr. Reed while selling fresh fish to other customers?" Silence. "I need an answer, Ms. Carter." I was trying to help him find something affordable." "Did he ask for affordable options?" "No, but..." "So you made assumptions based on his appearance and offered him substandard merchandise while providing premium service to other customers?" Emily's voice broke. "I didn't mean. It wasn't like that." David's voice cut like a blade. "It was exactly like that. And it's exactly what 67 complaints over the past 14 months have described at this location. Complaints that were investigated by store management," he paused meaningfully, "and found to be unfounded." Ryan's face went ashen. "Jennifer, I want both of them suspended immediately. Marcus, stay on location. I'm sending our VP of Compliance to Riverside right now. Full audit. Every employee interviewed, every complaint reopened." Marcus exhaled slowly. The deadline was holding. Barely. Lily, the teenage girl who'd been live streaming, lowered her phone and walked directly toward Marcus. "Excuse me, Mr. Reed," she said clearly. "I think you should see this." She held out her phone, showing not the live stream but a corporate email pulled up on her screen. The email header read, "Fresh Market Elite Internal Compliance Division. Sender, Lily Johnson, Compliance Analyst. Subject, Riverside Location, Embedded Investigation. Update number 7. Marcus's eyes widened. Lily kept her voice low but steady. "I've been working at this location for 6 weeks as part of an internal investigation. Corporate HR received multiple anonymous complaints that couldn't be verified through normal channels, so they sent me undercover." She scrolled through the email. "I've documented 43 separate incidents of discriminatory behavior, different treatment based on race, steering customers toward expired or low-quality merchandise, using store policies selectively, all centered around Ryan Mitchell and Emily Carter." Ryan overheard and stepped forward. "You're lying. You're just a stock clerk." "I'm a compliance analyst with a degree in business ethics from Northwestern," Lily said calmly. "I've been recording interactions, documenting patterns, and building a case for the past month and a half." She pulled up another file on her phone. Video clips, time-stamped, categorized. Here's footage from 3 weeks ago. Ryan telling an employee to push the old produce on the Section 8 crowd. Here's Emily refusing to honor a coupon for a black customer while accepting identical coupons from white customers same day. Here's Ryan instructing staff to watch certain customers more closely based on appearance. Marcus felt pieces clicking into place. Corporate sent you without telling me? Compliance operates independently from operations, Lily explained. HR wanted unbiased documentation. They didn't know you were conducting your own evaluation today. Jennifer's voice came through the phone. Marcus, I didn't know about this either. This was above my clearance level. David Chen spoke up. Lily Johnson is correct. We authorized the embedded investigation 5 weeks ago after the anonymous complaints reached a critical threshold. Lily, are you safe to speak publicly right now? Yes, sir. My assignment ends today anyway. The evidence is compiled and ready for review. Ryan's voice cracked. This is a setup. You can't have people spy on employees. We can investigate workplace complaints, David said flatly. And what Lily found, combined with what Marcus experienced today, constitutes grounds for immediate termination and potential legal action. Emily burst into tears. I was just following Ryan's lead. He told us this was how to manage difficult customers. Shut up, Ryan hissed. But it was too late. The defense was crumbling in real time on live stream, with over 8,000 people watching. Ryan made one final desperate play. This entire situation is a corporate witch hunt, he said loudly, addressing the crowd rather than the phone. I've managed this store for 4 years, increased revenue by 32%, reduced shrinkage to the lowest in the district. My performance reviews are exemplary. He turned to Marcus. And now, because I enforced policies with one customer, one single interaction, I'm being railroaded by corporate politics. A few people in the crowd murmured. The narrative was shifting slightly. High-performing manager being sacrificed to political correctness. Ryan seized on the momentum. I've dedicated my career to Fresh Market Elite. I've worked nights, weekends, holidays. I've built relationships with customers, trained staff, maintained standards. And now I'm being destroyed because I made one judgment call that's being taken out of context. Emily jumped in, sensing an opening. We serve hundreds of customers daily. We make dozens of decisions about inventory, quality, pricing. Sometimes we make mistakes. But we're being accused of discrimination based on a single incident? Marcus felt the room's energy shifting. The clear-cut case of discrimination was being reframed as corporate overreach. One bad moment in an otherwise successful career. Even David Chen's voice held slight hesitation. Marcus, how much of this interaction did you personally document? Marcus pulled out his phone, opened his photo gallery. I have photos of the expired fish, the date labels, the discount stickers covering expiration information. But those could have been legitimate clearance items, Ryan interrupted. Properly labeled, legally sold. The fact that Mr. Reed interpreted them as discriminatory doesn't make it true. I also have documentation of you refusing to sell me fresh fish while selling the same inventory to other customers. Based on what? Ryan challenged. Your perception? Your feeling that you were being treated unfairly? That's not evidence. That's subjective interpretation. Marcus realized his mistake too late. He'd documented the physical evidence, the expired fish, the labels, the health code violations. But he hadn't recorded the actual conversations, the tone, the condescending remarks, the explicit differential treatment. It was his word against Ryan and Emily's, and they were presenting themselves as dedicated employees being crucified for one misunderstood interaction. Mr. Chen, Ryan said, voice gaining confidence, I request a formal investigation before any disciplinary action. I deserve the right to defend myself against these accusations with proper representation. David Chen was silent for a long moment. Then, that's actually a reasonable request. Marcus, without recorded audio of the discriminatory statements, this becomes a he said, she said situation. We'll need to investigate properly before taking action. Marcus felt 3 months of work slipping away. The board call was in 41 minutes. He'd revealed his identity prematurely. The confrontation was documented, but not definitively. And Ryan was about to walk away with a pending investigation that would drag on for months while he continued managing the store. Marcus had gambled everything on this moment, and he'd just lost. Then Lily spoke up. "Actually, Mr. Chen, I have audio recordings of everything that happened here. Time-stamped, unedited. Would you like me to play them?" While Lily prepared to play the recordings, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from his wife Angela. "How's the salmon shopping going? You're cutting it close for the board call." Marcus looked at the message, at the chaos surrounding him, at the crowd of witnesses and the live stream counter now past 10,000 viewers. He thought about why he was really here. Not for the quarterly report, not for the board presentation, not even for the reform proposal. He was here because his grandfather had taught him that every customer deserves fresh food and fair treatment. Because Angela had asked him once, after a particularly frustrating day dealing with complaint reports, "Do you really think you can change things from a corporate office?" "I don't know," he'd admitted, "but I have to try." "Why?" she'd asked. "You've already succeeded. Regional VP, great salary, respect. Why keep fighting battles that aren't yours?" Marcus had thought about that question for a long time. "Because they are mine," he'd finally said. "Every customer who gets treated like they don't matter, that's my responsibility. I'm in a position to fix it. If I don't, who will?" Angela had kissed him. "Then go fix it. But remember, you can't save everyone, and you can't carry every burden." Standing in the Riverside store, Marcus realized she'd been partially right. He couldn't save everyone, but he could save this. He could make this store, this one location where systematic discrimination had been protected and enabled, into a place where his grandfather would have been proud to shop. He thought about the elderly woman counting out change for her grandson's cod, about the anonymous employees who'd filed complaints knowing they might face retaliation, about every customer who'd walked into this store and been made to feel unwelcome based solely on appearance. This wasn't about corporate metrics or quarterly reports. It was about the promise he'd made to himself when he took this job, that he'd use whatever power he had to ensure people were treated with dignity, even when it cost him something, even when the path wasn't clear, even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Marcus typed back to Angela. "Salmon situation got complicated. Might be late for dinner. But I think we're about to make sure a lot of people get fresh fish from now on." Her response came immediately. "That's my man. Make Grandpa proud." Marcus looked up at Lily, at her phone with all the audio evidence, at Ryan and Emily, their confidence crumbling, at the crowd of witnesses who'd finally seen discrimination exposed rather than protected. "Play the recordings," Marcus said. "Let everyone hear exactly what happened here." Lily connected her phone to a portable speaker she'd been using for her employee playlist. Her compliance kit, Marcus realized. Always prepared. The first recording played. Crystal clear audio. Timestamp. 2:49 p.m. Emily's voice. "That's the fish we have available for you." Marcus. "I asked for fresh fish. This is expired." Emily. "We're just trying to help you find something in your price range." The crowd stirred. Lily hadn't mentioned price range. Marcus hadn't asked about cost. Next clip. Ryan's voice. "People like you need to understand this is a premium establishment." People like you. Someone in the crowd gasped. Lily played another section. The interaction with the elderly woman. Ryan's muttered comment that hadn't been fully audible in person came through clearly on the recording. "This is exactly why we can't have these people shopping here. They waste time, count pennies, and lower the whole atmosphere." These people. Emily's crying intensified. "I didn't know he said that." But the recordings continued. Emily's voice from earlier that day, caught on Lily's recorder during a staff meeting. Just steer the urban customers toward the discount section. They're not buying premium anyway. Urban customers. The euphemism was paper-thin. Ryan's voice from 2 weeks prior. If they look like they can't afford it, they probably can't. Don't waste time on them. Focus on real customers. Real customers. The crowd's murmurs turned to open anger. David Chen's voice came through Marcus's phone speaker, tight with fury. How many recordings do you have, Ms. Johnson? 43 documented incidents over 6 weeks. I can send you the complete file, but it's 4 hours of audio. Send everything. Jennifer, get our legal team on the line, now. Marcus pulled out his own documentation. I also have the photos of health code violations, expired seafood with tampered date labels. That's not interpretation, that's documented safety violations. He held up his phone, showing the images to the crowd and the live stream. Ryan tried one last defense. Those were properly discounted items. With stickers covering the expiration dates, Marcus interrupted. That's illegal under food safety regulations. And you attempted to sell them to me specifically while offering fresh alternatives to other customers. Lily pulled up her tablet. I also have 6 weeks of sales data showing differential pricing and product quality offered based on customer demographics. When I controlled for purchase amount and product type, customers of color were offered expired or near-expired items 23% more often than white customers. She turned the tablet to face the crowd. Graphs, charts, statistical analysis. This isn't anecdotal. This isn't subjective. This is pattern discrimination backed by hard data. Ryan's last defense shattered. I was following the direction I received from store leadership. Stop! David Chen's voice cut through. Ryan Mitchell, Emily Carter, you are both terminated effective immediately. Security, please escort them from the premises. They have 15 minutes to collect personal items under supervision. Emily collapsed into sobs. Please, I have student loans. I need this job. You needed to treat customers with basic dignity, David said without sympathy. You failed, repeatedly, systematically. Ryan's face flushed red with rage. This is illegal termination. I'll sue. My union will. Your union will review the 43 documented instances of discriminatory behavior, the health code violations, and the explicit audio recordings of you referring to customers as these people and not real customers, Jennifer cut in. Good luck with that grievance. Stevens, the security guard who'd nearly arrested Marcus, stepped forward with visible discomfort. Mr. Mitchell, Mrs. Carter, please come with me. Ryan looked around wildly for support. Found none. Even Emily had stopped defending him. As they were escorted toward the back offices, David Chen continued. Marcus, I want you to personally oversee the transition at this location. Jennifer, pull the store director immediately. She's complicit in this. Every manager who reviewed and dismissed complaints needs to be investigated. Marcus felt validation and exhaustion in equal measure. What about the other 42 locations I flagged? Your reform proposal just got emergency approval, full board backing. Whatever you need, budget, staff, authority, you have it. I want systematic audits, embedded compliance, and zero-tolerance policies across the entire region. The crowd around them had grown to over 50 people. Lily's live stream was at 14,293 viewers. One of the bystanders, an older white man, spoke up. I've shopped here for years. I never noticed. I never saw what they were doing to other people. The woman who'd documented her receipt times stepped forward. That's the problem. People like me notice because we live it. But if it's not happening to you, it's invisible. Marcus addressed the crowd directly. This store will be closed for 72 hours for a complete operational review. When we reopen, there will be new management, new training, and new accountability systems. But more importantly, we're implementing direct customer reporting tools. If you experience discrimination at any Fresh Market Elite location, you'll have a way to report it directly to corporate compliance. No more complaints buried by local management. He looked at the camera on Lily's phone, knowing thousands were watching. To every customer who's been made to feel unwelcome, dismissed, or offered substandard products because of who you are, I apologize. On behalf of Fresh Market Elite, I apologize. And I promise you, we're going to fix this. Not with words, with action. David Chen's voice came through one more time. Marcus, the board call is in 31 minutes. I think we have a different presentation to give them now. Marcus smiled grimly. Yes, sir. I think we do. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the reopened Riverside Fresh Market Elite location, watching the evening rush. The changes were everywhere. New management team. David Wong, the new store director, had 15 years of experience and a track record of building inclusive store cultures. He walked the floor constantly, checking in with staff and customers alike. The seafood counter had new protocols. Every piece of fish was dated clearly. Expired items were removed immediately, not discounted, and pushed on specific customers. Quality standards applied to everyone equally. But the biggest change wasn't visible on the surface. Lily Johnson, promoted to Regional Compliance Director, had implemented a real-time reporting system. Customers could scan QR codes throughout the store to leave feedback directly to corporate, bypassing local management entirely. In 3 months, the system had flagged and resolved 87 issues across the 43-store network. Some minor, some serious, all addressed. Employee training had been overhauled. Not generic bias workshops, but scenario-based sessions led by staff who'd experienced discrimination firsthand. This is what it feels like to be followed around a store. This is what it sounds like when someone assumes you can't afford premium products. The woman who documented receipt times her name was Dr. Patricia Moore, a sociology professor, now consulted for Fresh Market Elite on equity audits. The elderly Hispanic woman whose grandson needed cod, she'd written a letter to corporate praising the new store culture. I feel welcome now. Staff help me without making me feel like a burden. Revenue at Riverside had increased 18%. Customer satisfaction scores went from 2.8 to 4.6 stars. Staff turnover dropped by 40%. Turns out treating people with dignity was also good business. Emily Carter had issued a public apology and enrolled in a business ethics program. She'd asked to meet with Marcus privately, not for her job back, but to understand what she'd done wrong. I didn't think of it as discrimination, she'd said quietly. I thought I was being helpful, reading the situation, managing inventory efficiently. That's how bias works, Marcus had told her. It doesn't announce itself. It hides behind reasonable-sounding justifications until someone holds up a mirror. Ryan Mitchell had not apologized. He'd filed a lawsuit alleging wrongful termination. It was dismissed within 6 weeks when the full evidence was presented. The Riverside incident had gone viral. Lily's live stream was viewed over 2 million times. Other retailers reached out asking about Fresh Market Elite's new systems. The company had inadvertently become a case study in corporate accountability. Marcus still conducted unannounced evaluations, still walked into stores dressed casually, still documented what he found. But now he had a team. Lily's compliance analysts, customer advocacy groups, employees who felt safe reporting issues. The system was working. Not perfectly. Problems still emerged. Bias still existed. But it wasn't protected anymore. Standing in the Riverside store, Marcus watched a young black man approach the seafood counter. The clerk, a new hire named James, smiled warmly. Good evening. Looking for anything specific today? Fresh salmon. What came in today? We got a beautiful delivery this morning. Let me show you the best pieces. No assumptions, no steering, no differential treatment, just customer service, the way it should have always been. Marcus's phone buzzed. Angela texting. Did you ever get that salmon for the Johnsons? He smiled and walked to the seafood counter. James, I'll take 2 pieces of that fresh Atlantic salmon, the ones that came in this morning. Absolutely, sir. Coming right up. Marcus watched James carefully select, weigh, and wrap the fish. Premium service, fair price, respect. His grandfather would have been proud. Real change doesn't happen because of one viral video or one dramatic confrontation. It happens because people with power choose to use it for accountability instead of protection. When you witness unfairness but speaking up costs you something, what choice do you make? And more importantly, when you're in a position to change systems, do you reform them or just manage them?
This was a fictional dramatized story, but the message is real. Now I want you to take. Was it justice? Or was it too far? Comment below, hit like, and subscribe to Black Voices Uncut Plus for the next Uncut Boss.